Every basic ability, skill, and talent can be developed through hard work, good strategies, persistence, dedication, and input from others. Where focus goes, energy flows. So focus your energy on continuous learning and stop wasting time thinking about looking smart. Build resistance, build vulnerability, build courageousness, and face adversity with a smile. Become comfortable with uncomfortable. You know, the only person that you need to prove anything to is you. Imperfect action trumps perfect inaction. Stop wasting time and get on with it. Failure is part of learning, so start learning by taking action.
Oh,
Hello, Simone.
hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the hot seat. We have time delay once again.
Oh my gosh, that is so far behind.
Yep, that is very far today. Well,
Wow, and
welcome to Wednesday.
we turned off everything.
Yep, absolutely everything. I'm just on with Kristian. Can you tell me later?
Even at the ice cream man.
Okay, tell me later.
I didn't even know that Blake was in the room.
Oh, we're that far behind. Well, here we go. Another interesting episode of the hot seat dealing with ECAM time delay.
You're not delayed anymore. It's just me.
Oh, I think we're back.
Yeah.
Well, this
I
is
think
becoming really entertaining every week dealing with our time delay issues. But we promise before we hit the go live button, there's absolutely no issues at all. And as soon as we hit live, we get lag.
And we've
But
got
what-
gigabyte internet. So it's like impossible.
100%.
And I just
Well,
paid for the year's subscription. So that was a mistake.
yeah, should go month to month. Welcome. I'm excited to have you here today. This is a topic that I'm really excited about. And I know that Marianne's searching for us to come and join us because she's texting me saying, what time are you and Kristian going live? Because I want to make sure I'm on there today, which is very, very cool. So it is Wednesday. It is the hot seat. I didn't see you last week because you've been jet setting all over the countryside, getting in all of these strategies for the end of the year. There's definitely no slowing down in December for Kristian Lavolsi.
Absolutely not.
We'll just leave that there. We won't talk any more about that. Let's get straight into the topic this week. And I wanted to talk to you about scaling your business. And particularly, what do you need to know? Because we hear this a lot, right? Especially in the professional development, personal development. Everyone wants to scale their business, 10x their business, 50x their business. I thought it'd be really great to break this down and talk a little bit about that. And I'd love to start with my first question of, what does scaling a business mean in your definition?
Okay. I might actually get this in another 2 minutes. Scaling a business, in my definition, Simone, actually refers to the process of expanding a company's people, operations, revenue, but to impact it all in a sustainable manner. Now, that involves strategically increasing the company's capacity as well as its capabilities to meet the growing market demand, or creating market demand without the compromise of quality or efficiency. And scaling is not just about growing in size. It's actually about enhancing the business model, its infrastructure, and its systems in order to handle a larger operational scope efficiently. This growth should be manageable as well as aligned with the company's long-term goals, and ensures that the business can actually maintain, if not improve, its profitability and service quality as it grows. I mean, you hear me talk a lot with our clients about, if you're going to have revenue growth, you want to have parallel growth margin growth. And my hands just went the opposite way. So let's see if that works. That way, right? I don't know what the hell I was doing. With the lag, I can't. It's like, let autocorrect. So yeah, really important. So that's scaling for me.
Okay, yeah. I think that's really different to what the definition, I think, with the marketing spin that everyone puts into their campaigns. When when we think about scaling or as a business owner, I'm sure a lot of us just assume that that is just about more revenue, more income, more sales. All those things is what we think about when it's scaling, but it's actually so much more to that.
Absolutely. And, big shout out to the handful of people that are inside our Business Growth Secrets group. I actually now, Simone, can see where people are coming, where they're coming from.
Oh, cool.
So we've got a handful of people from our group, and then a lot from LinkedIn, and then from Facebook. LinkedIn's the only one I can't see, but we know we get a lot of views on LinkedIn. So thank you to everyone that's there. If you're here, just give us a hashtag live. I know that if you're in the groups, you can't. But anyway, just let us know that you're here. Let us remind us that this wasn't all in vain, even though we know that it's not, because we get a lot of good feedback. So it's awesome. But yeah, no, look, scaling, and I think a thing that people don't understand, a lot of people say to me, they come to us and they say, cash is my biggest problem. And I'm like, no, your biggest problem is you. So you got to get that first in check. And your next 4 problems are Marianne is sending me text messages saying here, right? Oh, there we go. We even got it on Facebook here, but it's a Facebook user. But really, there are 4 barriers to growth: infrastructure, people, leadership, and marketing. And all of those things create the byproduct called cash. So if you're one of those people that says, I can't grow my business because it's because I don't have enough money. No, mate, you probably don't have a solid infrastructure. You definitely don't have marketing funnels that are working for you. And, maybe you haven't got the right people in the right seats on the right bus. And maybe you're not even leading those people. So you got to look at those 4 areas first. And, I know that I've gotten a lot clearer about that over the years. And that's the secret to going from good to great.
Yeah. Well, I think this really leads into my second question really nicely. So when scaling your business, where do you start? Like, what are you actually looking to have in place before you want to hit that launch button and ramp everything up? What do you need to do?
All right, you better put the timer on. This is going to be a 30-minute masterclass. Look, before you start scaling anything, right, whether it's a wall or a business, right, it's crucial that you have certain fundamental elements in place to ensure that you can actually do the job. So I've got a bit of a roadmap. I'll take you guys through it just really quickly, pen and paper, or watch this on replay and then hashtag replay. But what you got to do is you got to actually build a solid business foundation. Okay, so you got to ensure that the core of your business is strong and profitable. Okay, lots of companies go out and they've adopted the tech startup philosophy. I'm just gonna get a shitload of investors and blow their money, right, and grow my business so I can exit as a founder with the most amount of shareholdings for $1 billion, right? So, hang on a minute. The girls are already in Sydney. I just saw a picture of Marianne and maybe, is that Ivana? Right? So these are clients of ours, and we've got our Momentum weekend in Sydney. So everyone's flying in, but when I head is Anna Pucci. There's a doggy as well. So I got the message saying we're all watching. So look, let's get back to this. So then you've got to actually develop a scalable business model, right? Now your business model should be capable of handling increased demand without disproportionately increasing costs. Now, this might involve a level of automation, outsourcing, and even streamlining processes. The third step is market research. Okay, make sure you've done plenty of it. Right? Know that if you're going to scale and you're scaling in a red ocean, well, you're setting yourself up for failure. So, what's your blue ocean strategy? What makes you really unique? Make sure you do a financial health check. So, review all your financials and make sure you have forecasted cash flows to support the scaling, because the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to run out of cash, right? So, growth is expensive. But the thing that people let themselves down is the robust operational infrastructure is missing, okay? They don't have a strong team or leaders when they're ready to scale. And Remember what I said? Barriers to market are infrastructure, people, leadership, and cash. And marketing. I got cash on my mind. And once you do that, you've got to make sure you have really clear goals as well as KPIs, right? Because measurable goals are what's going to help you understand what it needs to look like, right? You've got to have adaptable technology and systems. So we would do an audit and review that for an organization. And if you look at this now we're talking about effective sales and marketing strategies. Most people go straight to marketing, right, when they want to scale, because they're like, more sales, more revenue, more profit. No, it's called the more disorder. You'll have more pain, more issues, more people, right? So it's a bit like this lag. Legal and compliance checks, customer support capabilities, really important that you have the feedback loops ready to go so you can understand what is happening. Also, AKA, having systems in place to gather the customer and employee feedback in the scaling process. Have a risk management plan, okay? So you identify the potential risks. Like, on the weekend, we're going to be sitting with people redoing their 90-day game plans. And when we do that, one of the biggest things that we do in the critical thinking process is that we identify, once we've identified all of our opportunities, we identify all the issues and obstacles that we may face in order to achieve those. Most people struggle with that, and then all of a sudden they're messaging me, during the week or the months ahead, and they're like, "Oh my God, we knew this was going to happen, and we know how to deal with it." I'm like, "Yeah, welcome to scenario planning, right?" The other most important thing when you're scaling, Simone, is to have an exit strategy. Very few people have an exit strategy in mind. First thing I do when I work with new clients, especially our bigger one-on-one clients, I always ask them, why'd you hire me? Right? What do you want from me? And then I say, okay, what's your exit strategy? And that's before we even really sign the dotted line and start working. And most people don't have an answer. They're like, just want to grow. Well, grow for what purpose? Do you want to exit? Do you want to pass it on to the next generation? If so, what are the training mechanisms that we're going to put in place? There's 1,001 questions. So hopefully that wasn't, too long a response. But that's all
I
the steps.
do want to, slip in a little sub question here, and I can because I'm interviewing you. I want to ask, and this is not my third question, like I said, a sub question. How important is your mindset in growing and scaling?
Oh, look, not at all important. Like all these fucking mindset coaches, there goes my G rating. They're all full of shit. No, absolutely not. Your mindset is the most important part in that equation. It does not matter how intelligent you are, how much money you've got. If you've got a shit attitude, it's going to come through. When you scale, the people aren't going to work with you. They're not, there is a plethora of issues that you will have, right? I've seen some of the best people, some of the smartest people with the greatest ideas catastrophically fail because they've got a shit mindset, right?
Yeah.
They might have a money mindset issue. They might have a scarcity issue. They might have, they might fear failure, right? And therefore they hold themselves back and be too risk averse. The biggest problem is they think they know it all. There's people that, hire me and then they don't listen to me. And I'm like looking at them going, are you serious, man, or what? You just paid me all that money and then you have just, not listened to the instruction and gone and done something that was in your head before we met. And I actually hold them up to account and I have a go at them, as you know. And guess what they do? They fail and then they ring me and they're like, can you come back? I'm like, no. You weren't going to listen the first time. You insulted me. And you know that. I turn down more people than we accept. And it's the reason is if you haven't got the mindset, like Mary Ann that keeps ticking away, sending me text messages, type on Facebook or LinkedIn. So other people can see what you're doing. I keep looking over there on the other screen because that's where they are. They're picture of the girls. She's got the most unbreakable mindset. And even when she's down, she'll pick herself up, dust herself up, and just go again. And it's so infectious in our customers and demand program. And, everyone rallies around her for that because it's fantastic. And remember, your mindset is influenced by the 5 people you hang around with most of the time. And so what I say to most people is, if you're not hanging around with other winners, then you're not going to win. Right? Absolutely, you're not going to win. If you're not out there chewing the fat with like-minded people that are at your level, right? At your level. Don't try and hang out in a group that is doing 20 million bucks and you're a startup, right? You're not going to get any fucking skills from those people. Their problems are totally different to your problems.
Advice to me. I'm pretty sure that was personal advice.
Not anymore, because now you're with me. But you know, it's no. A lot of people they get sold on the big dream. Just because you hang around with people that make billions, you are not going to make billions, right? But if you hang around, you know, and let's say you're one of the 93% of coaches and consultants and solo entrepreneurs in the world that earn less than $90,000 a year, right? Simone, that's the stat, okay? 93%. If you are one of those people and you want to get to 250,000, right, and go into the 7% that make over 90,000, then you want to join a group like our Customers on Demand program. It's built for businesses doing under 250,000. It's a reasonably close alignment, and so you're dealing with the same challenges. You might be in similar industries, you might not be, but you learn the fundamental skills and basics that you need to attract and convert, right? Then when you get into, you know, the next zone of over 250, depending on what type of business you are, if you don't employ anyone and you're coach and consultant, you want to get to $1 million, then there's different levels of attraction and conversion mechanisms that you need to deploy, right? Now, if you're a business doing over $1 million with employees, then you're really focusing on delivery and scaling. So again, it's another level. And for that's our boardroom product that we are going to, you know, move people around from our Evolve program, which will be under $1 million now. And then our bigger clients are going to go into the boardroom with me. So, you know, and this structure has come about over years of us understanding what works for people. So, to answer that question, it's so important that, you know, mindset is critical, but surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded at your level or just a bit higher, right? You know, that's so important, and people get that wrong because they're like, if I hang around with a billionaire, right, I'm going to be able to become a billionaire. No, you won't. Because what that billionaire isn't going to teach you is all the shit they did, the sacrifices they made, because they don't remember that. A lot of them don't remember it. And some of these billionaires were just freaking lucky. Good timing. You know, there's so many people out there that have got one-hit wonder companies and they think they're experts in business. And it's like, mate, you just got lucky, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got lucky, right? Don't get me wrong. There are people out there like Toby and Kayla, Toby Pearce and Kayla Inst. You know, they worked really damn hard at that business for a long time. It wasn't an overnight success. They worked at it. They're a really good example of, you know, two kids under 30 who, you know, exited their company for, you know, whatever number that was quoted in the paper, 400 million. You know, you never believe anything a paper writes. But the reality of it is, they built solid systems. They went out and they tested and they learned. Toby, in particular, I don't know Kayla very well, but I know Toby well. And Toby's one of the smartest guys I know. You know, he's proper smart. He invests so much time in reading. He's the guy that, you know, 2 years ago said to me, "You don't read enough. Read." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't read at all." And now I read a book a week, you know, and every now and then I remind him to send me a list of books. You know, early on, I think it was asking him for one book every 3 months. And then this year I said, nah, fuck it. I'm going one book a week. And I've actually exceeded it at the moment. I'm sitting on 49 books, and I'm about to finish Arnold Schwarzenegger book, Be Useful. And so that'll be 50. And then I've got 2 more that I want to smash out in the next 2 weeks. And honestly, am I a lot smarter for it this year? No, because a lot of stuff that I'm reading I kind of learnt via experience, but I'm more refined. That's the key. I'm refined.
Yeah.
I might not sound refined.
I think that the difference that I noticed from just, you know, hearing all this stuff in the background with us as a team is you actually retain a lot of the information as well, which I've heard a lot of people before going, oh, yeah, I listen to Audible on double speed and I'm listening to a book a week and all these sorts of things, but actually don't take away anything from what they're reading. So they're following the process and it doesn't actually land. So yeah, it's interesting to see what you pull out of these books and what we start implementing as well. But we have digressed. So I'm going to ask my last question of the day. So my third question for you about growing and scaling a business is, how do you really manage, and you did touch on this a little bit before, but how do you manage the quality of your customers' satisfaction when scaling? So I hear this a lot that, customer dissatisfaction or people lose their clients in the process of growing their business. And I think that they've kind of forgotten about that. So what would be your tips to kind of manage that? What are you looking to do in that process so you don't really lose what you've worked so hard for?
I think the first place you should start is look at developing and implemented standardized processes for quality control and customer service.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned before feedback loops. Is that what you're meaning here as well?
No. I'm talking about actually having standardized processes. So
Okay.
develop and implement all standardized processes in your organization, which will give you quality control and better customer service. So this also helps you get and maintain consistency across your products and services when you're scaling. The other thing is invest heavily in training, right? And I'm being serious. Hire people like me, right? That can come in, look at your strategy, make sure all your values are aligned, and with your team. And I'm not for everyone. Like, I'm very specific. And then invest in coaching and mentoring for the whole team, right?
Yeah.
Obviously I don't do all that stuff, but it's more about making sure that you really invest in an excellent onboarding program for your new employees, right? So many people hire someone and they say, that's it, straight to work. Most people won't make you a dime in the first 3 months. So you may as well invest intensively in their education in the first 30 days. Then let them go out and learn, test and learn, and then throw them out to the wolves. But don't, someone was saying for Hormozy in a private mastermind, actually, there's so many mechanisms. What are your feedback loops? Are you getting feedback and then relaying that feedback to the team? I know lots of companies who collect all this feedback, run all these amazing surveys, and no one looks at them. And I've walked into organizations
following the process and not actually dealing with the information.
Yeah, and I've walked into organizations, and that's the feedback loop part, right? Like, if you're going to collect information, then loop it back round. But also, if you implement it, let the people know that came up with the idea, so you can inspire and motivate them. When you're scaling and growing, you need to inspire your team, right? You don't need to motivate them; you need to inspire them. So the other tip I always give to people: avoid overextending your business capacity too quickly. Gradual scaling allows you to manage, to manage growth without losing sight of quality and customers. Okay. And that's really, really important. But the other thing is, you've got to maintain, when you're scaling, you've got to maintain a very customer centric culture. Okay. What happens is people tighten right up when they're scaling. They're worried about the infrastructure. They kind of, then the people get, the people kind of don't get the attention they need, and therefore the customers, right, don't get the love they need, and therefore you start to churn. And when you're churning, you're not growing anymore. Okay, I've got a client that we have put impeccable marketing systems in, and their infrastructure is excellent. Leadership is okay, but man, their people, their churn of their own people is a direct impact on the number of churn of their membership. And it's driving me crazy because it doesn't matter how many systems I've helped, they just don't stick to it, right? And because they've got such a fantastic marketing pipeline that our media business has built for them, they don't see it. So I then, on weekly calls with the owners, sit and just crucify them. And lately, I've just gone to town on them in the last 5 weeks, and we're starting to see the reality. I've just gone, well, you just dropped 350,000 euros. How's that make you feel? That's pure profit that you've just... Now, they haven't. They're still growing and still making money, but the growth rate has slowed right down to only a 10% growth rate when it should be 30 to 40% at the rate we're going, but they're churning so many people. So the solution isn't, hey, look after the customers better. It's actually look after our people better. Be it customers, be it our... we pay them really well, but we're not training them. We're not onboarding them. We're throwing them into the dungeon and saying, go, right? Go to war. And it's like, that's old shit, man. That doesn't work. And if you're a business owner listening to this, just listen to the passion that I've got. I know what I'm talking about, right? You got to invest. Even when I was back in the restaurant industry and I had, too many restaurants and bars, and I learnt my first lesson about scaling like an idiot. Right? I had really good infrastructure. I had really good systems. I had really, really good people. But I had shit leadership. That was me. Right? Because I was so busy growing and scaling, and my ego wasn't getting in check anymore, that I didn't even see that all of my best staff were finishing their 3-year, 4-year uni degrees.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I didn't build the next layer of leadership. It's why that's one of the biggest things that I do now when I walk into companies is, let's build your layers of leadership. People are like, but we don't have the capacity. Yes, you will. If you grow 30% this year, you're a $2 million business, which is a lot of the people we work with, 2 to 5. You are, and you employ 10, 15, 20 people. We grow 30%. Man, you're going to need leaders. You're going to need an admin supervisor. You're going to need this. So let's invest in that now. But they're like, oh, but that costs money. What's it going to cost if you don't do it? And so these are the things. So that then leads me to the quality assurance teams. Have a dedicated quality assurance team when you're rapidly growing. Monitor and act on your bloody metrics, okay? And be super responsive to your customers. That's all about effective communication. The other big thing is when you're scaling like crazy, you got to regularly review your supply chain. The amount of money I have saved our big clients by just saying to them, let's increase our prices and use price elasticity, demand supply. Let's see how far we can go before snapping the rubber band. What was it? 2 weeks ago, we had a new client to do strategy work in Melbourne or wherever it was here. I don't know. I've been traveling everywhere. And the first thing I did is on the plane, did a review of their biggest 3 competitors, right? And they've got quite a nice little niche. Looked at their 3 biggest competitors, looked at their pricing, and I went in there and I said, hey, why haven't you lifted your prices in 3 years? Oh, I think the price we charge is fair. Okay. You realize that you are 33% cheaper than everybody else. This person turns over $2.1 million.
Yeah.
Guess what? Paying me $20,000 for the day and a half I was there made him $1.1 million. Just like that.
Yeah.
So it's people get horrified at what I charge when I have to work, not our programs. Our programs are ridiculously affordable. But why? Because you're getting my undivided attention. Hey Blake, you're getting my undivided attention, and I do this every single day. And, who was it that you guys put up a testimonial that had me in tears the other day? Because I don't even read the content that you guys are dishing out, but someone made me...
At Amanda yesterday. That was on my...
No, but there was one about, someone said, Kristian can dissect your strategy. Maybe it was Amanda's. Dissects your strategy in under 2 minutes once he knows. I'm so fortunate, Simone, and I say this all the time. I get the privilege of living in the strategy sphere pretty much 22 hours a day. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, 2 hours a day, I sleep, by the way. I think strategy in my sleep. Right? But the 2 hours a day that I'm not is when I'm operational on our own businesses. Because unlike other advisors and coaches, I own a whole bunch of other companies. that employs lots of people, right? So, and why do I do that? Because I want to have my finger in the pie. I want to understand the pain points of my customers deeply. And why do I start new businesses all the time? So I understand our little customers, right? You know, and also because I'm a little bit stupid, right? Because really, I should just grow up, like my wife says. But you know, all these little stupid hobbies and ideas. But ultimately, look, you know, the biggest one out of all of that is prioritize your core offerings. So stay really focused to your core offering. And the one that I absolutely swear by, stay true to your brand promises. Okay? Stay true to your brand promises. And if you haven't got any, that is exactly why you need to work with us. Because that's the way we do it. I mean, look, today might sound like I've just gone hard on selling, but you know what? I'm really over, right, people going and working with shit people. Like, it's really starting to piss me off. Now, we're really lucky. We're in our own. We've got a coach, like as in, we're in a coaching program. And man, there's some really amazing people in there. And that inspires me. Really amazing people that I'm now starting to connect with. And, you know, we've been in there for a good year. And like all good things, we didn't get involved until only like 2 months ago. And it's like blowing my mind. It's totally blowing my mind of the little things, because that's not my area of expertise, you know? And so, yeah, but the people I'm meeting are just such quality. And then we're all looking at each other and we're going, why are all these shit people, they're not in our group, but why are all these shit people actually beating us? And it's because people get sold on the bullshit. You won't see me drive I drive a Range Rover Sport, right? Like, you know, I'm not going to sit there and do a video of me pimping out with my 23, 22-inch wheels, or me, you know, driving a Ferrari, right? Like, you know, I can't fit in one. Otherwise, I would own one. Right? Dead set. Like, you know, my wife's given me the approval. But the point is, it's more the fact that, you know, I just don't subscribe to the bullshit. As we know, that's one of our values. So the real truth is, just stay true to your brand and your core offering, right? And don't deviate when you're scaling. You know, I've got so many clients that have such hardcore entrepreneur mindsets. And this is why I love working with women. The men, right, they want to chop and change every day. It's like, stop, right? Like, stop. The women are methodical. And it's like, you know, and what are we? We're about 75% women now. As we're growing, there's more men. More men have started to understand they need to listen to someone that kicks their ass a bit more instead of getting their back up. But, you know, I look at it and go, you know, there's so many advantages to both genders. You know, men have more time because generally they've got wives at home that are looking after the family. But women have got this tenacity, this ability to fucking navigate through the nonsense and just get things done. I'm not referring to you, Simone. No, I'm kidding. No, you got 4 boys and a dog, but one's a grown man. But the thing is, you know, and I'm lucky. I'm really blessed that I got Lucy, that, you know, not only runs all of our graphic design teams for the media company and our brand, but she looks after the 2 most precious cargoes that we have, and our dog, right, who's just more demanding than the other 2 humans. But, you know, like, if I didn't have that, if I didn't have her, I couldn't dedicate the time that I do to our clients. So, you know, look, I think, and all of this is really about scaling. Like, I know that we digressed a little bit like I do, but the reality of it is it's all about scaling. It's a scaling mindset, right? So you don't have to scale like crazy. You know, you don't have to go out and subscribe to the Grant Cardone 10X philosophy. You don't even have to, you know, believe that you can do a 2X, right? I'm not talking about 2Xing your business. I'm talking about 25% growth year on year. We call that a point quarter, right? But the reality of it is, mate, anyone that believes that they can 10X their business in 12 months, man, the type of business you're in is going to dictate that. If you're a laundromat, you're not going to 10X your business, mate. Sorry, in 12 months. Okay? Not if you've been in business for 3 or 4 years. You know, my favorite clients are the elephants. I love the elephants. You know, people that have been in business 15, 20 years, they've worked their ass off. They now don't have an exit strategy. Mate, you come to me. I'll find you a buyer, right? Because there's lots of people out there looking, and this is the biggest dilemma we're facing in Australia. People are getting older. Right? Soon we'll be like Japan, we'll have lots of 80-year-old people and not enough 20-year-old people to do the work. So we're having to open the door to immigration. But a lot of these people are leaving so much knowledge on the table. I mean, I find older people so inspiring, right? Because I want to know the stories. You know, my grandparents are all deceased, so I can't go and ask them. And I used to love going to ask them as a 20-year-old boy. You know, I kind of, you know, I'm getting old. You know, like I look at it, and I was talking to one of our clients today, and we both exactly, you know, we're 2 years apart, born on the same day, Alice. She's probably somewhere around the building. And we were like, man, we're getting old. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of cool. Like I look at it now and go, it's kind of cool to be old, but I still don't know anywhere near as much as I want to know.
Yeah.
And you know, and like you said, yes, I am very lucky. I retain information on a ridiculous level because I implement. You know, I think someone wrote here, need to action what you are reading. You need to action what you're learning, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, yeah, and what do we, in COD in particular, we push people so hard. Module 1, implement. Module 2, don't go ahead. You know, don't go ahead of the pack. Turn up to the calls. Be inspired. Work to this level. If you don't have the answer, come back. You know, that's why we do 2 calls. That's why we now do an extra training module. I mean, it's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we charge, what is it, 3.3 for a 12-week program with over 50, 60 videos, 2, you know, jam sessions a week, one of them with me, right?
Yeah.
And then a training on top of that. And it's like, holy crap. And we don't even market it, right? We haven't been marketing it to people. We've just been, you know, we've got our crew that come and I want to scale them. I want to give them the time. But, you know, next year we're going hard. And, you know, we're going to try and enroll, what is it? What have we got target to? 100 students in the first 3 months of the year. And we're excited by that. And we've got all the systems in processes. We're building all of that. We're getting our attraction and our conversion mechanism sorted. And what have we done? We've gone and learnt them. And now we're also teaching them. And we're putting them into practice. So, you know, that to me is the kind of people you want to be around. People that are prepared to do the risk taking for you and teach you the magic. And I realized that I have just missed Morgan's call.
I was going to say we are running overtime for your next client. So let's wrap this up, Kristian. I always love hearing, even when you get on a rant, it's so inspiring. And I know people take so much away from these hot seat sessions. So thank you for your time as always. I'm excited to actually be physically in your presence for the next couple of days. Tomorrow afternoon. I haven't actually seen you since September, since our last quarter.
Yeah.
So although I see you every day, I will see you in person for our quarterly event, mixing up with some of our customers on demand clients, our Evolve clients, and a couple of special VIPs that are coming into the room as well. So I'm sure people are going to be seeing stuff splash out across our socials, and we're so excited to share what we've got coming up. 2024 is going to be a massive year for us, and I can't wait. So Kristian,
Well, it's actually going to be a massive year for our clients because we're only ever as good as the results we get for our clients. And
100%.
so, you know, and yes, it's going to be awesome because 2 years of hard work is going to be presented on Saturday in our skills day. Our clients are getting the first preview of Live with Purpose, the program, my strat line, what I do every day of my life. And I'm now going to help the rest of the world develop their purpose in give them the tools that they can do it in one day, learn the tools and then master it in their own life. And then we're also going to be building a program that allows people to stay connected with me and Bronwyn, my guru, the person that's been very instrumental in my spiritual side, and being able to keep me grounded when I've needed to be grounded. Which so for any peak performers out there that are losing their mind, this is what you're going to be looking forward to 2024. And again, I want to just wrap up on this notion of scaling. And this is mainly for the people that have hung around to listen right to the end. Because so many people, they hear the close, they think we're going to sell them something. No, I sold to you the entire time, all 40 minutes today, right? The key to scaling any businesses, we didn't launch 3 or 4 products in 1 year. We mastered one. Like I said at the beginning, you got to build something that's profitable. My one-on-one advisory business, very profitable, right? That's where the demand was. But it's also what was stopping me from scaling, because everyone's like, all we want is you. Well, no, I had to go and build a hero product, a product that said, hey, where do I want to make the most impact? Where do I want to support the mums and dads? And, this morning, Bronwyn and I were talking about it, and you're still here. We were talking about it, and she said, Kristian, I know you're frustrated that you haven't done bigger numbers and you haven't impacted more people, because it's not the money to me, it's the impact. And she said, but you have a tribe. You have a tribe of loyal people that go and get you work now. And it's so true. And, some of those tribe are sitting there watching this right now in Sydney on a couch, waiting for us to arrive tomorrow. Marianne and Ivana, I know you're there. And I'm really grateful for you guys. I know Amanda is on as well. But the key is, we're here to serve you guys, right? We're here to serve, you've impacted the people that really need it. No, thank you. But, I love what I do. I love waking up every morning and seeing the faces of my children. I love seeing my team actually thrive, right? I hate when they're frustrated and they're stuck, because I also make the same mistakes where I throw new ideas at everybody all the time. And that's the biggest thing I've had to learn. A lot of what we teach is what we're learning constantly, every single day. And like I say to some of my clients, I wish I had a practitioner like me as my coach 20 odd years ago. Right? But guess what? I hired like 20 coaches. There was not one. And I paid a fortune. And you know why? Because what I've realized now, the industry is full of fakes. It's full of people that have never had anything in their life, never had a business. And then that's why they tap out at 90 grand. Right? But they're swallowing up the energy and the money of people that really need it. The mum and dad businesses that are spending, $5,000 to go to a 3-day event that teaches them how to run ads. Are you kidding me? Marketing is only one component of the reason why you're not growing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to leave you all with this final thought. The 4 barriers to growth: infrastructure, people, leadership, marketing, not cash. Cash is a byproduct of those 4 things. And if you haven't got the people in place and you haven't got good leadership, you haven't got the infrastructure, don't bother marketing. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? And the secret to marketing, Marianne, type it in the chat. Type it in the chat, and it has the word chat in it. You got to have conversations. If you want to sell shit, you don't need to run ads. You need to have conversations. It's why we built an unbelievable LinkedIn program, right? And we have VAs that do it because it works, right? So, it's you got to have the know-how. Anyway, I got to go. Morgan just messaged me.
Kristian Walsey, thank you for your insights on another wonderful hot seat that definitely never sticks to our 2-minute time limit. But I appreciate your time and insights, and I know our audience does as well. So travel safe over to Sydney tomorrow. We can't wait for an epic weekend. Lots of lucky clients ready to see us. So have a wonderful night. Thank you very much for listening, everyone, and we'll be back next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Sydney time.
Awesome. And by the way, have you noticed the lag slopped?
Working with Kristian is a game changer. Hi, I'm Adrian Lee from GrowthLink Coaching and Consulting. I started working with Kristian in August 2020 as his LinkedIn growth consultant. We worked together on his LinkedIn brand for about 12 months before becoming business partners in Growth Outsourced late 2021. Kristian is a hidden genius. He helped me break through a significant financial target by restructuring my growth consulting online business offer. I don't know of any one person who can give you so much focus, clarity, and structure to live your purpose and get shit done. He holds you accountable to your words and gives you the tough love when you need it. I love his no BS approach to business and life. Everyone needs a Kristian Walsey in their life. Do whatever you have to work with Kristian. This is just the beginning for us, and I am super pumped to continue growing together. Thanks again, Kristian.